what the rule of 2 is you every day add 2 new contacts to your list. You follow up with 2 additional people, and you ask for 2 additional referrals. That's 6 people a day on top of what you've already done or what you are already doing. So add to yourself or say to yourself, all right, so to get to the next level, to take the next step, to make sure that I'm hitting Success Club, no matter what, I am going to do this. I'm just going to ask for 2 extra contacts a day. And if you listen to Raina Odell's call last week, she did the Dream Team call last week. She actually said that a lot of times she'll go into like the search. And I never really thought of doing this before. And I actually, she told us a while ago in another group, and it was a great idea. But you can go into the search in Facebook and just type words like people who like teams in training, or people who like Under Armour, or people who live in Wisconsin and like cheese. And if you write those things, there's going to be a list of possible people that you may know who like those things. And so you might say at first, well, what do I do? Like, do I send them a friend request, or how do I start talking to them? So this is what I say every time. I say to them like, hey, so Facebook does this crazy thing, and I love networking with people, and they actually suggested that we might know each other, or we should be friends because we have a lot in common. And I'm not crazy. I just wanted to say hello. And that's all I say. And most of the time they friend request me back, or they accept my friend request, and we just start conversing. We just start talking. So the first couple times you do it, it feels kind of weird. And there are going to be people who do not accept your friend request, or that think you're nuts. That's okay. But it's a great way to add to your contacts. It's a great way to meet new people and talk to more people. So that is the rule of 2. You're going to add 2 contacts. You're going to follow up with 2 additional people, and then you're going to ask for 2 additional referrals. So that's 6 new people every day that you're adding on top of what you already have. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce Taylor onto the call. So Taylor is my personally sponsored coach. She and I work pretty closely together. We actually do a lot of fundraising together as well. Taylor is a star Diamond coach, and she has been coaching for, I think, have you reached the 1 year? You've reached the 1 year, right? A little over, I think.
A week over, maybe a month over.
Yeah. I thought so. I thought it was close around there. So she's also a Success Club starter. So if you don't know what a Success Club starter is, a Success Club starter is when you start the business, and your first 3 months as a coach, either the month you sign or the first month right after, for the first 3 months, you earn Success Club. When that happens, the first time you get a call with the CEO, Carl Deichler, and Sarah, I know, just finished her first month as a Success Club starter. She's working on actually she has it, her second month, and then next month will be the third. When you have 3 months as a Success Club starter, you actually earn your ticket to Summit. So I am very excited because I know that Sarah is well on her way, and I know we have new coaches on here too that are working hard towards that as well. So Taylor tonight, if you follow her on Facebook, and if you don't follow her, I do suggest you do, because Taylor has really nailed down how to get people to her Facebook page and follow her because of the way that she posts. You know, you're not going to go onto Taylor's page and think she's salesy. You're not going to see her throwing up links and saying, buy from me. But still, there's something about her that is just very attractive as a Beachbody coach that makes you think, like, I want to know more about this business. And the other thing I wanted to mention, and I really wasn't going to talk about this on the call, but for months, Taylor has been saying that her frog is blogging. She just hasn't wanted to do it. She's had she's just not really had the desire to do it. And it's just been kind of like on her plate as the, I'll get to it eventually. And then in the last couple of weeks, she's really taken time, and it's actually served as, and she can probably talk more about it, almost a way of like just working out some things that just she was stressing about and that she, you know, was worried about. So her blog posts are amazing too, especially the last one she just did about, you know, what are these Beachbody coaches, all over my newsfeed. So Taylor, go ahead. I'm going to click mute on my computer and you can get us started.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
I can. And by the way, if you need to share your screen, I didn't know if you were showing images or not. You just click share screen. You could do it on your computer too.
Okay. I do have my slides up, so I could do that. Okay. Hi, guys. I am Taylor, like Katie said, and I am just going to apologize now because I, on Zoom calls, stare at myself. I cannot help it. Like, I will just look at myself the whole time. I don't know what it is, but if it looks like I'm not looking at the camera, it's because I'm not. Okay, so I am talking about posting with passion today, and Katie touched on my blog a little bit, so I will get there. I will kind of go over how that has come to be and what it has grown into for me at this point. But first, I would just like to start So the first thing I'm going to talk about, and this is kind of how I base my post and kind of how I
Hey, Taylor. Taylor, I can barely hear you.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Let me know if you can't, because I had to, my office is a disaster zone, so I'm in my bed. Okay, so the first thing that I do whenever I'm creating a post, and I try not to use words like target because I am not hunting anyone. I am just trying to connect with them. So when people say like find your target audience, I get a little bit like creeped out by that. I'm like, I'm not shooting these people. I just am trying to be their friend. So what I like to call it is creating your ideal customer or coach for you. And how I do this is you can actually see my little like avatar there. I named her Lucy, but I came up with this person named Lucy, and how I came up with her was I sat down and I wrote out attributes about myself that I wanted to change, or attributes in other people that I admired. Maybe stuff that I wanted to change whenever before Beachbody, like stuff I was struggling with. I thought about what my close friends were like and what I liked about them. I thought about who I admire. I thought about who I like spending time around, and then kind of who I want to become. And then every post I make or every post I put up, I make sure that I am talking to that person, that I'm having a conversation with that person, because that is who I want to attract to me. That's who I want to be friends with. That's who I want to become. So that's who I want to, you know, hang out with and spend time with and get to know better and to help. So you can kind of see her there. I found a picture of her. I wrote her out right there. She is 27 years old. She's a former athlete looking to retone, shed a few pounds gained after retiring, and pick up healthier habits. She's terrified of going to the gym for fear of being judged. She has no idea what to do to better herself and needs motivated. She's married with no kids, but wants to start a family soon. She's worried that when she does have a family, she's going to hand down her bad eating habits to them. She has the cutest dog in the world, Marley, which is totally true, and I post about her a lot. She overanalyzes conversations and situations to the point where it can hold her back when meeting new people and forming new relationships, because she always worries she may say the wrong thing. And that's actually a funny story, because the first time I met Katie was at a fundraiser, and I literally went home and was like, I can't believe I said that to her. I can't believe I talked about that stuff. I need to message her right now and say sorry for saying the things that I said. Like, I totally was overanalyzing that conversation. And I'm pretty sure Katie messaged me back and was like, I don't even remember what you said. It's fine. I have an intense passion for fundraising, which is very obvious. I talk about that a lot, and it's all over my wall. I may be the worst cook in the world. That is definitely true. She would much rather receive experiences as gifts instead of things. And I'm super busy, constantly trying to find more energy to keep up with all of the things that I want to do. I oftentimes fake being sick because I'm out of energy to push forward. So some of those more negative things are things that I had going on or that I was struggling with before Beachbody. And whenever I talk about that on my wall, you'll see in some of my posts, I talk about how I used to be exhausted by the time I would get to my last class of teaching dance at night. And I just I was checked out. I was not a good dance teacher to them. But now that I've implemented proper nutrition and working out and just getting myself healthier in general, I'm much more present for them. I'm much more available. I'm much more patient with them at the end of the night. It's just helped me all around as far as my full-time job goes. So the next question is people ask is how do you actually come up with these posts? Like, where do you get these ideas of what you're going to say that people can connect to? And what I always go back to and what I always try to tell coaches is when they ask me these questions, I just say, what are you reading? What personal development are you doing? What are you listening to? What's going on the personal development end? Because that's where everything that I come up with somehow stems from. And you use that to form your posts. The other things you can use is what are you struggling with personally, or what are you having success with? And then talk about how you got to the point where you are now, and then relate it back to your workouts, your business, or your team, et cetera, et cetera. So an example of that might be, I think the post I just did tonight was about how I was someone who was terrified of lifting weights. My husband would be like, it's fine. You can lift, like you're strong, just pick up the bar. And I would be like, no, I can't do it. And then a couple weeks ago, I just looked over and I saw the bar in the corner of the gym. And I was like, the only person that's telling me I can't lift weights is me. So what do I have to do to push through that? Just because that's about a workout, that's also about life. So I kind of posted today, I put it in quotations, what bar are you afraid of lifting? And can I help you? Something like that. So just because that particular post is related to my workout and a struggle I was facing as far as just lifting goes, it can be a world of other connotations that people could take that. They can come up with a million struggles in their own minds that they can relate to as far as me just lifting weights goes. And I think that's kind of something that I work out in my mind from personal development and then working out. It all kind of links together. That's kind of when all of that stuff, all of those thoughts that I'm reading or what I'm listening to, I'm taking notes on whenever I do my workouts is kind of when they come to fruition in post form in my mind. So whenever I'm reading personal development or listening, the next thing I just wanted to point out is I highlight all through the books I'm reading. If it's a book I'm actually reading, I just literally highlight in that book. However, that statement, what I was reading just made me feel, I will just make notes over in the corner of that book. And then I'll go back later through and I'll be like, this was talking about such and such. It made me feel this way. So when I post, I'm not just writing, paraphrasing what I just read, but I'm more so talking about the feeling that I got from reading that and how it related to my life. So it's not necessarily word for word what I'm pulling from my personal development, but it's more so the feeling that it invoked in me and how I would like to portray that message. So just a side note, I'm so blue. 100% blue. So I just feelings, they're the tangible things for me. It's something you can't see, but that's what I relate to. So when I feel something, that's the first thing I'm gonna lean towards is the feeling and how I relate to it and what it all means to me. And Katie knows I can go off on some serious tangents with how everything relates to feelings. But I said right there, when something strikes you, think of how you can relate it back to what's going on with you personally or drive traffic to your page by sharing it, keeping your ideal challenger or coach in mind while you're doing this. So whenever I'm creating a post, whenever I'm feeling certain things, I always try to tie it back to Lucy. So tonight when I was posting about being terrified of lifting, Lucy's terrified of going to the gym for fear of being judged. and she doesn't even know what to do to get started. So there she is again. I've just found her. I found that one little snippet about Lucy, and the post tonight that I created was directed towards her in that aspect. So not every single thing that I post about is going to cover every single layer of Lucy, but it's just going to pick out one. It's just going to point out one little thing about her, because you can reach a wide variety of people, because a lot of people, with how unique we all are, we also are a lot alike in the sense of what drives people and what motivates people and what they can be inspired by. Okay. Sorry, I'm confused because this isn't my slide anymore. Do you see that, Katie?
I do, but I thought that was your slide. If you go into, do you want me to pull it up on mine?
Yeah, I mean, I can keep talking. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, go ahead, keep talking. I'll find it. Just, can you share it?
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. So at this point, I'll kind of just jump into talking about my ideal person. I'm just going to kind of jump into my blog now. So Katie mentioned earlier how blogging for me was kind of something that it would really stress me out. I think it was, honestly, I didn't like the way it looked. And so I didn't feel like comfortable putting stuff up there. I didn't feel comfortable having my name attached to it. I wanted it to be done right. And it just was like this thing that was hanging over my head. And I couldn't find my way of blogging because I was watching how every other coach does it. And I was seeing, every 5 minutes, someone's posting an awesome 21-day fix approved recipe. And a little known fact about me is that I've never actually followed through the 21-day fix meal plan. Like those containers, and I travel, whenever I travel, I put my jewelry in them, but I don't actually use them to portion my food. Like I'm terrible with them. So it's just something that I'm seeing recipes, I'm seeing people give their thoughts on workout programs. And I just was like, I'm not that person. I'm not that coach. So it took me a long time to figure out what my blog meant for me and how I was going to share my story with my blog. So I'm slowly getting recipes up there, and it's kind of experimental. So I put like some fails up there. I put, like I eat this every single week, 3 times a week, and I love it, those kind of recipes. But for me, my blog is more like a journal. It's more like how this whole coaching experience has transformed me, not only physically, but mentally. And it's kind of the physical transformation isn't really something that I talk about at all anymore because it's great, but it's not the best thing that's happened to me with all of this. So my blog has really been able to be an outlet for me on topics that are really uncomfortable for me to talk about, and maybe something that I don't want blasted up on my Facebook page, but it's something that I can write about genuinely. I can kind of just like close my eyes and type it and then share it on my Facebook wall. So if people are attracted to me for motivation or for support or for fundraising or for any type of inspiration, and then they want to look at my blog, that information is there for them. And it's just as genuine as my Facebook post, but it's a little bit deeper. So, and I'll share this because it's part of who I am and like what I'm dealing with now. But my cousin passed away from leukemia in 2013. And I feel like after she passed away, I took on the role of, the philanthropist in the family and the one that was going to work to carry her memory on by fundraising. And I kept myself as busy as possible. Anytime a moment of sadness or of pain or of anger would creep in, I would just jump up and start doing something. And that's kind of how I really haven't let myself grieve her. And it's almost been 2 years. So after the campaign was over, and we got the research grant in her name, I kind of had to sit down and think to myself, like, well, what now? Like, we got the grant. I know I still want to do more. I know there's more out there for me to do in her name and in her life. But at some point in all of this, I kind of lost my story because I've been so adamant about sharing hers and sharing her joy and sharing her life that I don't know what mine is anymore. So after talking to my husband, we kind of thought, I needed to talk to somebody that wasn't family and wasn't him for just an outside perspective. So I started going to grief counseling. And I, for some reason, mentioned this blog that I hated blogging to my grief counselor. And she was like, so here's the deal. I'm going to hold you accountable to blogging, and I'm going to read your blog. And every week when you come see me, we're going to talk about your blog and, use the stuff that we talk about in here to create content for what you share with people, because people need to hear this side too. Like, I want to know who Taylor is, and other people want to know who Taylor is. And that doesn't mean that Emily's not a part of you. It just means that she's pushed you to where you are now, and she has a huge hand in this. So, use that. So one thing that's been really scary for me to talk about is the financial side of Beachbody, because I never want people to feel like I am just helping them to help for my own benefit. So that's something that I struggle with. But the truth about it is that this is a business and we do make money, and I can't just like pretend like I don't. I don't do this like for nothing. I love it, but it's still a way for me to gain financial freedom and be home more with my husband and have more time to dedicate to fundraising. So I did a post last weekend about just how normally in the summers I don't work, and Dave and I use our tax return for bills throughout the summer because I'm usually off. So we get that tax return and it goes right to bills. But this summer we don't have to do that. And last weekend I was able to take him away for our anniversary for something that would have been totally out of question in years prior to this. And I didn't have to say a dollar amount. I didn't have to say anything of that sort, but I just could say I wasn't able to do this before. Now I have Beachbody and I'm able to do extra. I'm able to give to my husband stuff that I never, like, it just wasn't in the cards for us. And we weren't upset about it. We weren't sad, but I didn't realize how much I wanted to be able to help him and help my family, not only, spiritually, mentally, but also financially. And then just what coaching has done for me, I've been able to share that more on my blog. And it's kind of been a way for me to grieve and to kind of find myself. So my blog is way more than just, I don't talk about really too many Beachbody programs, and I don't really talk about food, but I do talk about the mental transformation and kind of the internal side of it for me. So along with that comes posts. So this is an example of a personal development inspired post. And this actually came from a devotional called The Confident Woman. And I know Katie has shared this devotional a lot. I have it, and it's the first thing that I read every morning. So it's on my nightstand, and I wake up and I read this because it just kind of gets my day started off. It's really short. It doesn't take me a long time to read, but some ways hits me at least once a week. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. This is ringing true for me. This particular devotional was about how confidence is trust. And the whole devotional was actually about being confident in your faith, and therefore you trust yourself in your faith. But for me, on this particular day, I was thinking about how just with working out, I previously had done CrossFit, and the only reason I did CrossFit was because I was confident in my friend Zach, who was my trainer. And I knew that he wasn't going to steer me wrong. I trusted him. I knew he wasn't going to judge me. I knew he had my best interests in mind. And so I would work out with him. And then in August of 2011, Zach was in a really terrible car accident, and he's been in a vegetative state since. And so I stopped working out completely. I just wouldn't go to CrossFit anymore. I wouldn't work out. I wouldn't go to the gym. And that was kind of something that I think I was hung up on for a long time, but I didn't realize it. And then I met Katie and I realized she's genuine. I trust her. Something about her is making me feel confident. And so I joined her. And I just summed it up with, it's crazy because now I'm a Beachbody coach and I hope I'm building up confidence in other people and I hope that they trust me. So I wasn't really trying to sell anybody in this post. I really wasn't saying I did this program and I lost 30 pounds or, I only blah, blah, blah. I just mentioned Beachbody and the fact that I'm coaching and this is what got me to where I am today. And this is how I feel now. And I hope that someone can trust me and be confident in me. So it's just being genuine about why you're doing something and why you chose the path that you did. And if anybody read this post and decided that they didn't like it, I don't really know why. There's nothing in there that's trying to sell anybody anything. And so I'm awesome. So I don't know why you wouldn't like my post anyways. Just kidding.
I think so too. That goes into what we talk about, with attraction marketing too, is that if somebody didn't like that post, you probably wouldn't be the coach for them. You probably wouldn't be the best match for them anyway.
Mm-hmm. True.
Am I going to the next slide?
Yes, you can.
Maybe.
I think the next one's the schedule. Okay, yeah. All right, so sharing versus selling. This is something that is huge whenever you're posting. So don't aim to sell anyone anything, but aim to share with them what is working for you and how it could work for individuals like you. So I'm not going to be I'm going to run a challenge group about losing baby weight because I've never had a baby ever. And people are going to be like, who's she kidding? She has no idea. So I can't, I'm not going to talk about that kind of stuff. But if you have children, that's something that you can share. You can be like, I've done the 21-day fix and it's helped me with this, that, and the other thing. So for me, for example, I haven't had a major weight loss journey, but I've had a crazy internal transformation. So I share about how working out and eating right has helped me become more authentically me. And it helps me push through on days where I am so overwhelmed with grief. And I refrain from posting the words on sale because I personally feel like when I see someone posting on sale, when I see someone that's my mascara is on sale until the end of the month, I just keep scrolling because I don't care because they're just trying to sell me something. I keep it moving. So some scroll stopping tips for you are, how will you grab attention? So the first thing I always try to put in a post is something funny or a quote or something motivational or inspirational, something that's going to stop the scrolling. Sometimes I post, stop scrolling. I literally use those words. And people are like, what? Why is she telling me to do that? And usually they're thinking no, I'm going to keep scrolling, but then they keep reading because I told them to stop scrolling. What is the point you're trying to get across? So this comes from your personal development and then relate it back to what's going on with you right now. And then I separate my thoughts into short 2 or 3 sentence paragraphs. That way, if people are in a hurry or they are busy and they only read one of those paragraphs, am I still adding value? Am I still intriguing them? And am I still inspiring them if they only have time to read a short snippet of what I've given them that day? And then what is the call to action? So at the end, I always ask them a question, or I ask them to like this, to comment, message me, or fill out an application in the comments from Woofu, something of that sort. Mm-hmm. I talked about this at the training at Katie's house, but I personally think of likes on a post as someone in real life making eye contact with you. So if you're walking down the street and people keep their heads down and they don't look at you, you're not going to be obliged to be like, hi, how's your day? Because you would have to duck under them and try to get their eye contact. But if someone is walking down the street and they look at you, you're going to say, hi, how are you? You're going to make conversation with them. So I like to think of likes on my post as that person making eye contact with me and saying hello to me first. So then that opens up the door for me to message them and ask them how they are, ask them how they've been, Sometimes I'm just silly and I'm like, I know that you probably just liked my ridiculous selfie with my shaker cup of Shakeology, but I just wanted to say hi and see how you're doing. So that way it takes the elephant out of the room. They're not like, oh crap, I liked that picture and now she's going to try to sell me her shakes. But it just opens up the door for conversation, because they liked it. They responded to the call to action. Obviously, if they message you or they comment on it or they fill out a Woofle application, you can get right to business because they probably are ready. But if they've just liked it, they're probably still on the edge and you need to do a little bit of forming with them first. Always add a picture or a video. And my video tips are, if you are doing a video, please try to keep it 2 to 3 minutes max or people won't watch it. For some reason, when people see over 3 minutes, they're like, oh, I don't have more than 3 minutes to listen to this person ramble on. So try to keep it short so that people actually watch it. And then also don't get upset about likes or comments on your videos, because there's actually a science to it, but people's brains, when they watch a video, they actually forget, they don't remember to go back and like or comment. So pay more attention to the views as opposed to the likes or the comments. And then reread your post to yourself and then think, if this came up on Lucy's news feed, how would Lucy feel about this? Try to take you out of it, but take out or implement your ideal coach or your ideal customer instead. All right, Katie, I think you can go to the next one. Sorry, I keep scrolling, but I forget I don't have it. Okay, so this really quick is just a schedule of posting. If you aren't sure what to post when, or if keeping up with 3 to 5 posts a day is a struggle for you, make a schedule just like you add your workouts or your appointments on your calendar. So one tip, what I do a lot of times is, if I'm reading personal development and something hits me, I start typing up a post in either the notes on, I have a Mac so it stinks, but the notes on my computer or the notes on my phone. That way I just always have content. I always have stuff in my notes that I can pull from. So if it's like in the middle of the day and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've actually not posted at all today, I already have it all typed up and all I have to do is copy paste, add the picture and post it out there. But I always keep this schedule in mind too, just in case I'm struggling. So on Mondays, I always post motivation, #never miss a Monday. Everyone loves that one. Tuesdays, I like to do transformations or nutrition tips. Wednesdays, I like to post about water. Thursdays, I always do throwbacks. And I love to do actually transformations, kind of like, remember when I couldn't do any push-ups at all and now I can do 5, kind of stuff like that. So how I've gotten better with my workouts. I like to say now I can do 50 because I'm dramatic. But then when I say that, I'm like, people probably think I might actually be able to do 50 and then they might ask me and I can't at all. I can do like 3 or 4. And then on Fridays, I always do Pay It Forward Fridays. And I love looking at Jamie Messina's Facebook on Fridays because she always does Fearless Fridays and they're so much fun. She'll do something that's completely out of her comfort zone and she'll post it on her Facebook on Fridays. So if you notice, usually a couple days a week, like even though I'm posting something inspirational or motivational, it's not necessarily about Beachbody. So Friday is Pay It Forward Friday, but I don't ever really talk about Beachbody. I just try to create content that anybody could look at and be inspired by and then keep coming back to my page and then see my Beachbody posts or other stuff that I have going on. And then remember that your 3 to 5 includes personal posts too. So for example, my dog is a huge part of my personal life and she gets way more likes than pictures of me do. And then I also include a lot about my marriage, about fundraising, and about dance because it's super important to share your other passions so that you can find other people out there who are also more like you, who have more passions like you. And then confidence is key, and just always keep in mind to aim to inspire one person. If you reach one new person every single day from your 3 to 5 posts, that's the goal. So don't aim for 1,000 likes. Don't be like, oh my gosh, only 4 people like this. Well, out of those 4 people, who's the new person that you reached today? Or how are you going to reach new people? Just aim to inspire one new person every single day and you're good. that it?
Yeah, let's open it up for questions though. I can go back to on the slides. Um, so one thing that I know you talk about is aiming for, just one, like just helping one, just inspiring one. And so my question is like, have you ever posted something that you were like, I don't even know why I posted that? And if you have one of those moments where you think to yourself, that does sound too salesy, it's like, do you go back and delete it? Do you leave it? Like, what do you do?
Okay, so I've actually been thinking about that because at the end of May, I was shooting for SC10 and I was at 5. And so I got really salesy there and started like giving away free refreshes. Nobody bit, so I didn't actually give away any refreshes. And I'm embarrassed. Like sometimes I'm embarrassed that I like went that route because that's not me. And I know when people look at it, they're like, what's she like? I feel like they're like, oh, I'm going to pretend like I didn't see that. Like that's not her. I don't delete it. But I have listened to podcasts and YouTube videos where coaches do. And even when there are a lot of coaches who, whenever they advertise for a challenge group or for something they have going on, once that challenge group has started, they go back through and they delete all their posts pertaining to that particular group because they don't ever want people to see old stuff. They want to make sure that they always see newer stuff. And I guess it takes all of the old salesy stuff off of your newsfeed so that if you're just scrolling through, you see all of the personal stuff that you would relate to and you only see the like challenge group posts that are pertaining to that upcoming group, which makes a lot of sense. But I would have to schedule like another 15 minutes in my week to go back through and delete everything. And then it would make me kind of sad because where does it go?
Are you talking more on IG or do you talk more about on Facebook?
I think they're talking more about Instagram, but I have everything linked.
Yeah.
So I think because Instagram is more of like you get snippets of people and you don't necessarily get like a full story. Like on Facebook, people can do like really long posts, but
yeah,
they do well on Instagram. So
yeah. I do. Like right now, I think I only have like 10 or 12 photos on Instagram right now. Okay, so another question for you, and then I will turn it over. Personal development. So you talk a lot about confidence and posting with confidence. So what is your go-to with personal development? Are there, what do you get to like really get you in the mindset of not just posting, but like just in that positive frame of mind? You talk a lot about the things you've been through, the struggles you've had, the losses you've dealt with, and a few of them too. So what do you feel like is the personal development you do? And do you feel like personal development is a non-negotiable?
Absolutely. I can tell if I can't come up with something to post, I have not been doing my personal development. So I've been off work. My personal development time whenever I'm working during the school year is driving to and from work. I listen to podcasts, national wake-up calls, anything I can get my hands on, I listen to in the car. But since I've been off work, I've had more time to read, but I'm not getting as much content in my head as I do whenever I listen to podcasts. So I have noticed that it's been a little bit more of a struggle for me to come up with what I feel like is creative or like intriguing or unique posts. Personal development that I do, I read The Confident Woman every single day. I listen to Lewis Howes on the regular, the School of Greatness podcast. He is amazing. He does interview style podcasts with like top entrepreneurs, just amazing people. He had Darren Hardy on the other day. Actually, I'm halfway through that episode. Every Friday, he has an 8-minute or 5-minute Friday. Last Friday's was 8 minutes, and I kept saying like, this is not 5 minutes, Lewis. But it's just like short little snippets, and they make you feel good and they make you think. I also take my personal development a little bit of a different direction because I feel like anything that you feel like is pushing you forward as a person or making you think uncomfortably or making you think differently than you previously have or just pushing you a little bit is good personal development. So actually with my grief counselor, she's given me some books. Right now I'm also reading a book called Lament of a Son, and it's like a grief journal from this man who tragically lost his son. And it's just him talking about how his feelings throughout the whole like first year and how he worked through them. And it's kind of been validating for me, like the way I feel sometimes is it's good to be like, okay, I'm feeling this way for a certain reason, but I need to share with people why I feel this way and how I'm going to work through it. Another one, my cousin just sent me this like a couple months ago, and I also read this every morning. And like these wouldn't pertain to everyone, but they pertain to me right now. So it's pushing. I'm just trying to give the example that whatever pushes you forward as a person is good personal development. But this one's just like a little daily thing also, and it's just called Healing After Loss. So it has the dates, and it just says it just has like little feel good. It's okay to sit with the pain. It's okay to be sad, but how are you going to use that sadness or use that grief or use that anxiety to push you forward? How are you going to, it doesn't say the words joy, but that's what's coming to my head. How are you going to create joy out of this situation? And what does joy look like you today? Maybe today joy for me looks like sitting on my couch drinking a cup of coffee, and maybe tomorrow it's raising $70,000. Like it could be different from day to day, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool. All right, so what other questions do you guys have before we turn off the call? Let me see if there was anything in the chat. What was the name of the last personal development on grief?
It's called Healing After Loss, and it's daily meditations for working through grief, and it's by Martha Whitmore Hickman. I can type that somewhere.
Do you guys want to unmute yourselves? Do you guys have questions for Taylor about posting, about your post? The other thing that I would suggest to you is if you aren't working with a success partner yet, or you would like to start working with a success partner, I do always suggest going on to each other's timelines and really giving each other honest feedback. Do I sound salesy? Or, what do you think of my last couple posts? I've noticed my timeline is a little bit quiet. Like, is there something you think I need to be doing more of? And just get that feedback from one another. It's so important too that on your wall, you're interesting, right? You want to be interesting on your wall. But whenever you start those conversations and you get to the heart of inviting people, you want to be more interested. I genuinely want to know about the people who are signing up with me as either their coach because they're a new customer or they themselves are a new coach. I genuinely want to know if this is a good fit for them. And so I take a step back, I take me out of the equation, and I focus it on them. So the wall is kind of your stage, but behind the scenes, it's really more about the people that you're bringing into, the auditorium, so to speak. So cool.
Yeah. And kind of on that note too, like, I wouldn't say that I'm someone that gets 4 million likes a post. And I feel like I go through trends of like, and I call them the calm before the storm. Like when I start getting really vulnerable and really real, my likes die down. And then when I keep pushing myself, I'll see them jump back up. And I think that's just because people take a step back and they're like, what's going on here? And they start to relate to it. And then they start to talk to me. So just because people aren't necessarily participating in what you're asking them to do, or just because you're not getting the likes, doesn't mean that they're not watching. And just the other night, it was like 10 o'clock here. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning in Switzerland. And my husband woke up and he texted me and he was like, oh my God, I forgot to tell you, this kid that I don't know at all, he's the third string goalie for some other country, somehow follows me on Facebook. And since you tagged me and everything, he walked up to me and he was like, I hope this isn't creepy, but I love your wife because she like makes me feel good whenever I read her posts. And Dave was like, I am actually creeped out, but I will pass along the message that she like But she would appreciate knowing that. So just because people aren't saying anything to you or doing what you're asking of them, like they will come around, and just keep spreading your message and your story, whatever yours is. It's not going to be the same as mine, but you're going to attract people that are not attracted to me.
Yep, for sure. Awesome. All right. Well, it's almost 10 o'clock, so I want to let you guys go. Taylor, thank you so much for your time and all of your great tips. I will have the recording ready for you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.